Jesus has an answer to the question, what is truth? In John 14:6, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And this is one of the most politically incorrect statements ever made. I mean, pause and think about it. How would Jesus fit now amongst the moderns? How would Jesus fit now amongst those that believe all religions are equal? Can Jesus really be a good guy, a lover of everyone, without discrimination, and make this statement, I am the way, the truth, and the life? And here's where it comes. No one comes to the Father except through me. No one comes to the Father except through me. There is no other way. There is no other trail. And you know why that is? It's because the truth, what truth is in Jesus Christ himself. He is not simply a truth. He is the truth. There was this great old debate about where the truth came from and how it relates to God. And the point of the debate is actually quite helpful. The question was whether or not truth is something that's kind of floats out there in the universe, so to speak. And God himself has to play by those rules. What right is, what truth is, just kind of exists out there, and then God is subject to it. That was one school of thought. The other school of thought, coming from the Bible, of course, is that what truth is what God is. And pause and think about it. Which of those two is right? Is right and wrong something that exists out there, like the Christmas song, be good for goodness sake? Where is goodness sake written? You ever think about that when you're trying to get those Christmas presents? You better be good for goodness sake. Where is goodness sake written? How do you know what goodness sake is? Does right and wrong just sort of float out there and God is subject to it? Or is God himself the source of truth, the very fount of it? Truth is what God himself is. All the things that you would describe as morally right, the things that the Bible says are morally right, are that because they are reflections of God himself. What righteousness is simply a description of God in himself. He is the truth. And so when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he is saying, all this is found in me because he is God. In the Old Testament, God identifies himself to Moses as being a God who is full of love and mercy and truth. It's not simply that he borrowed a little bit of it from the universe, or that he studied it real well when he was in little God school, hoping to one day be a big God, but that he actually is love. He actually is goodness, and he actually is truth. And then what Jesus becomes in the flesh is all of those things perfected within a man, the God-man, who has come to lay down his life. And so he says to those who are lost, like hippies trying to find their way, like those folks in Star Trek bouncing around the universe with no hope, maybe like some who are now on a college campus and really seriously asking the question, what do I believe? Jesus answers that question. He says, if you are lost, I am the way. And if you are confused, I am the truth. And if you are dead in your trespasses and sins against me, I am the life. And the way that you will find this life is not through all your religious meandering down these lost trails of uncertainty and skepticism and doubt, but in him. The truth is in Jesus Christ. He has come to not only witness to the truth, but to be the truth and to take the place of those who have bought the lie. Do you know that Pilate's question, what is truth, is not a new question? The question that we wrestle with tonight, that you've wrestled with, that I've wrestled with, what is truth, is not a new question. Do you know who was the first to ask that question? Satan. You know what form it came in? Check this out. God speaks, just as Jesus has now spoken. And then a voice comes and says, what has he really said? Can you really believe him? Can you trust him? Maybe there's something he doesn't want you to know. Maybe he's just not knowable. maybe you should hide behind your list of questions and doubts and use that like a thin shield. Maybe he won't find you. Maybe your questions and your doubt will hide you from him and give you what you want. An older fellow once said that religion is the opiate of the masses. Some Christians take offense to this statement. I kind of like it. Life hurts sometimes, and opiates help. And I'm not trying to say that like in a cynical way, but that phrase, religion is the opiate of the masses, that came at a reflection on the fact that people often suffered through life and had to ask hard questions. One of the problems that we have as Americans is that we are so well pampered and surrounded by everything good, every material good. I mean, if you get sick here, you have so many different directions and hospitals to go to. You'll probably die trying to figure out which one to go to. But life has not always been this way. People used to ask hard, serious questions a lot earlier in life because they weren't so well padded by all the things that you and I are well padded. And when they began to ask hard questions, they began to look to God because they couldn't find real answers in themselves. That's why all the great hymns are written in the past, by the way, when people actually had good theology and they suffered. The reason why people struggle to write great Christian music today, just my opinion, is because of the shallowness of theology and the shallowness of Christian experience. It's in the hard struggles of deep life experience that people end up coming to deeper places in relationship with God. So the old phrase, religion is the opiate of the masses. Religion just makes us feel better about death. But is skepticism any less an opiate? Is doubt any less an opiate for the masses? If religion or biblical Christianity's belief in the afterlife was criticized for just being something to help people feel better about death and dying loved ones, wouldn't you agree with me that skepticism now is really just an excuse to do whatever you want to do? I'm not sure if God is real, so I'll just party like an idiot until I come up with a better thing to do. I'm not sure if God is real, if there is truth, so I'll just blind my eyes and blind my morality and just live as though there are no consequences. I've got a few unresolved questions, and therefore I've got a license to do whatever I want. That's what skepticism is. It's just a pass to abandon morality. It's often not really born out of an intellectual honesty. And the reason why I say that so confidently is because you know in your conscience that you were made in the image of God. In fact, there's a sense in which I would not even try to convince you that God exists. I believe you already know. I believe in your heart that though you might deny it or have doubts about it, you know that God exists, and written upon your heart is a sense of morality that you can't escape no matter how much you drink, no matter who you wake up beside or what you do. You have a conscience that God will not let go, and that conscience talks to you even when you don't want to listen. And that is something from God. God will never so abandon those created in his image that they're without his imprint upon them. And that's where the gospel becomes so lovely, because it speaks to that wounded, broken conscience and says there is sure relief. There is a sure balm for that sick, broken conscience. And it's found in the one who was broken for you. The one who is not simply a truth, but the truth. Not simply a way, but the way. Not simply a life, but the life.